Hello and welcome to another episode of Wellness. Today we focus on cancer and the need for early screening. Cancer, the word itself strikes terror in the hearts of those that hear it, especially from the mouths of doctors. More than 1 million people in Africa are diagnosed with cancer every year, and 700,000 people die from the disease annually. While many of us have known friends and relatives who have not survived cancer, it is not necessarily a death sentence. I will be joined by Dr. John Wanjiru of the Aga Khan University Hospital.
So cancer is a group of diseases that form within the body when the body cells in any organ do not go through the normal control of regeneration and the making and reproduction of themselves. So that collection of cells is what we would call a cancer, meaning these are cells or a group of cells that are not under the normal usual control of the body on how many need to be regenerated or reproduced and how fast that should happen. So they go against the control of the body mechanisms.
The palliative medicine specialist will tell us how cancer comes about and the need for early cancer screening. How does cancer start?
It just starts with some change in the genetic makeup.
Just changing the genetic makeup?
Yeah.
Okay.
The genes in the cells.
Yes.
What we call mutation.
Yes.
Mutation means that the cell was under control.
Yes.
It had this combination of genes, DNA and all that. Those simple, the very basic of the cell. But now these have got a normal way of being controlled on how they are going to do things and how they are going to reproduce themselves.
Yes.
But in cancer, that mechanism
Yes.
and that is lost.
That is lost.
Yeah, and that is the starting point. So the term used is usually called mutation.
Okay. Now, when you talk about the genetic makeup, does it mean that it's genetic? Is it genetic?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yes.
Because it's the genetic makeup of that person and that cellular line or that organ.
Yes.
It's not the genetic passage from the parents to the children, from the children to grandchildren and all that. That is not the way we look at it. It's from that organ. However, there are some cancers that could be strongly associated with genetic makeup or genetic associations or relations.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're not the majority.
Yes.
They're in the minority.
Okay. What type of cancers are these, for example?
Strongly, what have been studied is cancer of the breast, especially in young people.
Okay.
There's a type that is associated with the genes.
Yes.
And that's why we say if a mother gets cancer of the breast at a young age, it's very important that we follow up the daughters. And other cancers are still being studied. And the jury is still out there on which other cancers do have genetic association and how strong is this genetic association. But the good thing with today's world, modern world, is when an association is found out, we are able to share with the populace.
Okay. What are some of the symptoms, perhaps?
Okay, there can be any symptoms depending on the organ that is affected. And that's why we say, don't wait for the symptoms.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Don't wait to feel bad. Don't wait to feel you are sick. Yeah? Start by going for screening.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Because once you have symptoms
Yes.
and you go for the test and investigations,
Yes.
then you are doing diagnosis.
You're doing diagnosis?
Yes.
Okay.
But we recommend we do screening. When you are not feeling anything, but you meet the criteria of going for screening or looking out or checking whether your body systems are working, that is screening. But once symptoms and signs sets in, then you'll be doing diagnosis.
Diagnosis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Joan Wangari, a 38-year-old mom of two, was first diagnosed with pancreatic cancer at the age of 26.
There were symptoms before that, and I thank God because the symptoms led to my diagnosis and treatment. At first, I had jaundice. My eyes became yellow. I was losing weight, unexplained weight loss within a very short time. Then I lost appetite. I was bloating. I could not even eat anything. But now I was feeling like, what is happening with me? But the sign that made me go to seek medical attention was the itching, especially here at the palm of my hand. Yes, I was itching. Yes. And then I will scratch even on a wall when I was passing.
It was that bad?
Yeah, it was very bad.
Yes.
So the first step I took, I went to a nearby pharmacy. I bought some pills. I thought it was an allergy. I was an allergic to something that I ate or something else. I went over the counter, bought them, and I took them. But the itching didn't stop. It persisted. Then I went now to the hospital. Yes. I was living at the coast in Mombasa. So I went to a government hospital at first. Then I can remember when I went to the hospital, there were so many people waiting for the same services. So when I went to the doctor's office, the doctor didn't look at me. Yes. I can remember I had signs all over my face because now I was jaundiced. Yes, yes. Even the urine was yellow. Yes. And even I had started changing color. But
to what? Yellow?
I was black.
You were black?
My body was black, but now the eyes were yellow and the urine. Yeah. Now, when I went and explained to the doctor what was happening, she didn't even look me in the eyes because I remember she was overwhelmed. There were so many people waiting for the same services. Okay. So she told me, you have an allergy. Let me prescribe for you something. You go take it at home.
So no tests were done?
No. She just assumed I had an allergy of something. So I went back home, took them. But now itching was becoming so bad, such that I could not even sleep at night. I was feeling like I would even cry. I wished it was just pain. I would have taken painkillers, but now the itching was so much. I even took a stone to scratch myself. Now the itching persisted until I used to scratch myself until I developed some sores.
So it became intense?
Yes, it was, even in my legs. Yes. By this time now, I wanted to know what is happening. I went further to seek medical attention. I went to different hospitals, even in Mombasa. But there was this one that discovered that because I was complaining of the bloatness, and I was feeling uncomfortable around my abdomen. So she decided I do an ultrasound to see my abdominal area, how is it. Then I underwent through an ultrasound, and then that's when they discovered there was something around my abdomen. She told me now, the doctor told me, we have seen something. You have a tumor, but you need to go for further tests. Yes. So I was told to go for CT scan and later MRI, and it was confirmed now that I had a tumor around my pancreas.
Talking about going for early screening. So how many times should one get screened? After how long?
Okay. Another good question, but it has to be contextualized. It depends on the system that we are checking for, the system that we are screening, the cancer we are screening for, and what are the findings of that screening. For example, there's a basic test for cancer of the cervix called pap smear, and it is recommended for those in the reproductive age from a certain age. But for you to do it again or subsequent, it depends on what your clinician does find when they do your pap smear. So they'll tell you, go further for further investigation, go for this management, come next year or come after 2, 3 years for a repeat. So that finding is important, and that's why screening is so critical, because it now delineates people depending on what the findings are. So we cannot say a population, we did screening for 1,000 people, and all of them will be re-screened in 2 years or 3 years. It will depend on what the findings on that single given person and the system you are looking for, or you are examining or screening, the findings that you had.
I was told now this tumor was so big they had to remove it, but they had done other tests like FNA. It's a needle. It's a needle you are put where the tumor is to see if there are cancer cells.
Okay.
Yeah. They told me you could be having cancer, but me, I was not even concerned of what was happening with me. I just wanted the itching to go away because it was so severe. Me, I didn't even realize what they had told me, but they told me we have to put you on surgery. So the doctor told me, now what we have seen, you need to go for follow-up. You need to go to see an oncologist. Even the doctor referred me to the oncologist that I was going to see, but he didn't explain.
They're not telling you you have cancer.
Yes.
So are you wondering, they're telling you to go and see an oncologist? Why?
Yeah, I was wondering, but within this month I was at home, I was Googling.
Oh, you're Googling?
To see what is tumor. There was a friend of ours who came to the hospital. She told me, she's a doctor, she's a medical doctor. She told me if the tumor turned out to be malignant, it seems like you have cancer, but when it is benign, you are not cancer. It's not cancerous.
Not cancerous.
So yeah, so I think I read the report and I saw the word malignant. But me, I didn't know anything about cancer, so I had no question to ask. I was so young, I was not expecting to be having cancer, so I didn't ask any question. So I went home, I read the report, I Googled, I just asked myself a lot of questions. I didn't get the answers.
You can't get the answers.
Yes. So after sometimes I was told within that month I go to oncologist. I went to the oncologist. Now I went to Kenyatta. And the doctor, when I met him, he told me, oh, young girl, he was feeling pity for me. Pancreatic, you have pancreatic. I don't know if he said pancreatic cancer, but he also didn't tell me what was happening. Yes.
So what was the way forward?
Now now they told me we have to put you through treatment through chemotherapy, but I knew chemotherapy is for cancer, so I went back, did my own research.
And you're not asking them why
I'm not asking. I don't know why I was not asking, but you know, it was a shock. I didn't expect this. I didn't have that much knowledge that I have today. So when I went and Googled, I saw it is cancer.
Cancer is stigmatized. So is it curable?
Cancer is curable, like any other disease. And I think this is what we need to really pay attention to, that it can be cured, it can be eradicated from the body. It has different modalities of treatment, and that is determined by the type of cancer you have, the availability of the modalities, and also how the patient is physically and clinically speaking, because some treatment cannot be given to some patient with certain conditions. So it is curable. And if it is not curable, then it can be controlled.
It can be controlled.
And there's an element of survivorship. And the patient can be able to survive with the cancer still going through treatment, the symptoms being controlled, and the patient living with a good quality of life that is acceptable to them.
What are the success rates of some of the treatments that we have in the country?
Okay. Success rate will depend on what we're looking for as far as success is concerned. If you're looking at a cure, those are so dynamic. So we are not able to say a certain percentage get cured. But we can say that those patients who get screened and the lesions or the cancerous cells are detected early, they're able to be cured before the symptoms set in, or in the early symptoms duration. So they can be cured. However, as the disease progresses as the disease, when it is diagnosed late, for example, stage 3, stage 4, then cure become impossible because the disease has already spread to other parts of the body.
Okay.
So in this case, what we do is we palliate, ameliorate the symptoms. The patient will still receive the different modalities of cancer treatment, but the intention and the aim is not to eradicate the disease from the body, but to make sure that the patient survives with the disease and they have a quality of life, symptom-free, without suffering, without distress.
Yes. I had to be treated for 3 years. I was in and out.
How many sessions are these?
18. I went.
18 sessions.
I underwent through 18 sessions of chemotherapy. I didn't do radiotherapy. I was told that pancreas, where the pancreas was, it was very sensitive. For me to undergo through radiotherapy, it will damage other organs. So I did only chemotherapy and surgery.